The Roman Empire was one of the most influential and powerful empires in world history, lasting from 27 BC to 476 AD. However, life for women during this time was vastly different from what it is today. Women in the Roman Empire were subject to strict social and cultural norms that defined their roles and limited their opportunities. In this video, we will explore what it was like to be a woman and live in the Roman Empire. Education and opportunities. In ancient Rome, education was generally reserved for boys, and girls were often taught only basic literacy and household skills. While some wealthy families might provide more advanced education for their daughters, this was the exception rather than the rule. As a result, most women in the Roman Empire were not educated beyond the basics of reading and writing. Furthermore, women had limited opportunities to pursue careers or engage in public life. While some women might have worked in fields such as medicine or crafts, these professions were typically dominated by men. Women were also excluded from political life and could not hold public office or participate in government. Instead, their role was primarily domestic, centered around managing the household and raising children. Marriage and family. Marriage was considered an important duty for women in ancient Rome, and many were married by the age of 14 or 15. Marriages were often arranged by parents or other family members and were primarily viewed as a means of securing social and economic status. In fact, many marriages were political alliances rather than romantic relationships. Once married, women were expected to manage the household and bear children. They were also responsible for maintaining social and cultural traditions, such as hosting dinner parties and attending religious festivals. However, women had limited control over their own lives and could be divorced or abandoned by their husbands without much recourse. Religion and society. Religion played a significant role in ancient Roman society, and women were expected to participate in religious rituals and ceremonies. Women were often responsible for maintaining household shrines and offering prayers and sacrifices to the gods. However, women were excluded from participating in many public religious ceremonies and were often relegated to the sidelines. In addition to religion, social norms and cultural expectations placed strict limitations on women's behavior. Women were expected to be modest and chaste, and any perceived deviation from these norms could result in severe consequences, such as public shaming or even death. As a result, women were often closely monitored by family members and were subject to strict social controls. Challenges and opportunities for elite women. While life for women in ancient Rome was generally challenging, elite women had more opportunities and freedoms than their lower-class counterparts. Wealthy women might have more access to education and cultural activities and could engage in political and social life to a limited extent. For example, some elite women might have served as patrons of the arts or participated in charitable work. However, even elite women were subject to strict cultural norms and social expectations. They were still primarily defined by their roles as wives and mothers, and had limited opportunities to pursue careers or engage in public life. In addition, elite women were subject to scrutiny and criticism from their peers and could be excluded from social circles or shunned if they deviated from accepted norms of behavior. In conclusion, life for women in the Roman Empire was challenging and subject to strict cultural norms and social expectations. Women had limited access to education and career opportunities and were primarily defined by their roles as wives and mothers. While elite women had more freedoms and opportunities than lower-class women, they were still subject to strict social controls and cultural expectations. While there were exceptions to these norms, life for most women in the Roman Empire was defined by strict social and cultural norms that limited their opportunities and defined their roles.